Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Arne Schepker, CEO of Babbel, to discuss why the U.S. offers a lucrative market for language learning. Arne, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Hi, Jill.
It's great to have you with us. And tell us about the evolution of Babbel. Most of us know it as a language platform that has evolved from a mobile app to a multi-product ecosystem. What does Babbel look like now?
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, we invented online language learning, right? This was still, the company was founded back in the CD-ROM ages. So the first cloud-based, app-based language learning solution out there. And we've since evolved into what we call the ecosystem. So live tutoring, podcasts, and the self-study app to give you really the frequency, the daily frequency of the app, and the intensity spikes and the application of what you've learned in the live classroom. Bringing those two together really is driving learning outcomes.
Let's talk about the Americanization of a European company. What makes the US market so big for Babbel, and why is it a prime spot for language learning?
Yeah, it's our so it's Babbel's biggest market now globally by a large mile, and we actually got a few critics and we got smiled at when we entered the U.S. market in 2015. Mainly like, why are you bringing language learning to the U.S.? And we've proven that yes, there is use cases for language learning in the U.S. Americans are able to learn languages like anyone else, no better or worse. And all we had to do was really figure out the motivations and how American learners actually talk about language learning. And since then, we haven't looked back and created our biggest market, and we see a ton of room for growth.
Let's talk about why boring is sometimes more sustainable, especially after Silicon Valley Bank. Why is boring good? Not raising too much money, having a good balance sheet, but what makes this more sustainable?
Yeah, that's true. I think there's a newfound appetite for boring companies like ours from a financial point of view. So we're growing faster than we were during the pandemic or even pre-pandemic, and we're generating cash, which is a pretty unique profile. And I think boring is indeed good because we don't think we're in a winner-takes-it-all market. The language learning market is way too fragmented for that. So why should we, overspend on acquisition or burn hundreds of millions of investor dollars? We're cash flow positive after all the investments into innovating our ecosystem, into growth, into building out the company, and we're proud that we haven't had to burn cash unnecessarily along the way.
And it's largely generated by a subscription model.
Yes, absolutely. The subscription model helps. I think we landed on it in 2011, so a long time. We've been operating it for over 10 years now, and think that we're pretty decent at it.
And Arne, of course, we have to talk about artificial intelligence, known as AI. Why do you think it's overrated and perhaps overused?
True. I am on the record for saying it's overrated, and that's mainly a financial comment. Companies that put AI on their product all of a sudden are worth twice as much as they were a minute before. That's hype to me. We're also a tech company, and at Babbel, we've always said, the moment will come where large language models will be able to replicate human language and feel pretty eerily human, and that point is either close or has come. And what we are already doing is obviously using AI for our own purposes. So driving learner success, driving your engagement in the learning journey, whether that's how notifications happen, when you review what you've learned, and obviously everything around speech recognition. And we're increasing our investments into AI in the future because we believe that the combination of AI and HI can actually be powerful.
So it sounds like the technology is the means to the end, right? A working application. You still need linguists on your team.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what we're saying, right? Our learners don't come to us for the AI. They also don't go to ChatGPT for the AI, right? They go there to have a problem solved or a use case solved. And in the end, Babbel, we solve a human problem. How do our brains actually acquire a second language or a third language or a fourth language? It's not task completion, right? So we need to find a way to work with AI as a tool, as a technology, and help you and your brain to acquire that skill, to build that muscle, and be able to converse in another language. Because we do want to take you to a real conversation.
So Arne, as far as I understand it, when you learn multiple languages as a child, it's more natural, it's easier to do, for lack of a better term. Adults really do have the ability to understand and comprehend and speak and converse fluidly.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we do every day for our learners. Adults have the benefit of having learned languages before and having a better idea of how they learn. So we sort of game our own system better than kids would. We don't have the benefit of just learning as we go. We actually do have to put in the time and the effort to do it, which is again why we need a bit more help. We can't just interact with an AI and assume that we learn along the way. We need a bit more help. It needs to be a bit more structured. We need to be handheld through the journey, and that's exactly why we're using AI and we're not just dumping you in front of an AI.
All right, Arne, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks for having me.